trying to. All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us again. Today, we finally get to pop the bottle that's just saved in reservation in the last episode. We got to give you independent coverage of the election, and this just sat waiting, calling. You know, we're celebrating America being saved. And as Ricky said, I'm going to bring Ricky in here as well. As Ricky said, you know, we're also celebrating 1,000 subscribers, you know, no matter how much they're trying to keep us down. I'm also trying not to get all the equipment wet.
But we got to get better on that beat drop, man, because the beat's too hard to be fucking on the beat drop.
Oh, but now, smooth sailing. David,
We're
please.
here.
Oh,
I gotta let my
do us the
Cleveland
favors.
sign show.
Whoa.
no tragedy here.
Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
To the people
Douglas.
of the world. This is for y'all.
Tastes like victory.
It tastes like freedom.
It's a little sweet.
Yeah, I don't like how sweet it was.
Yeah.
It's hard to drink.
I could use
All
a
right,
little less victory.
guys, David, Dougie, cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers to America.
Hey, hey.
So, what do we have in store? In today's
a
episode,
long
we're going to do a bit of a
intro.
recap. As first, you know, we got to simmer in the celebration for a
Savor
second. So, you know, savor it. Now, what's funny is we have 1,000 subscribers, still at a wall, because the last episode showed that we're out of algorithm jail now that the election's over, but YouTube still just doesn't want to play with us. So Twitter, we just went through it.
Wow.
Highest numbers we've had for a while, 6-hour episode, and we kept it the whole time. Now, we're going to see how it goes tonight. But again, opening an episode with a little bit of a celebration. But let me introduce the Pickle Gallery joining us today. Silent Destroyer and Ricky from Just Another Day TV. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing great. How's everybody doing today?
Oh, you know, can't
Right.
complain. Ricky?
We outside, man. Another glorious
There
day. Another day in paradise, you know.
Good. Good. Paradise tastes sweet. Paradise tastes sweet. So, like I said, on the board for today, we're going to be doing a bit of a recap of all the things that have happened in the last week. Just a whole week of winning. Even our NFL episode, our football episode, the Sunday Football Review, the theme was everybody wins. You know, Browns had a bye, so we couldn't have our heart broken. It was just everybody won. Everybody won. So then we're going to wrap the episode. So hang on to play with us. We're going to be playing a good old classic Rethink Tank favorite, Donald Duck or Donald Trump. So play along and look forward to that. But I can't do it without my good friend and my co-host joining me today, David Cunningham. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good here. I think I left at the appropriate time last week. After I left, it just became good news from here on out.
You were here for the hard-hitting dialogue.
Exactly. I was there right up until about Pennsylvania. No, I think it was about Georgia.
Just before Pennsylvania. That was
Oh,
the end of our commentary. It was like, what's going to happen? This is going to be everything. And it pulled through.
Hit Pennsylvania.
Thanks to the Amish.
Oh yeah, but it's been a quiet week at my residence. It's also been a little quiet in Cleveland here too. Not a whole lot of celebratory actions
Except for
going
us.
on here in the city. Oh, except for us, but it's been limited. But you know, forget who's really been celebrating here lately? Doug.
Joining us on the keys. Me. How you doing, Doug?
Oh, just dandy. Happy to be back on another Tuesday. Hopefully this one won't take us into the wee hours of the night.
You didn't want to be here till 2:30 again?
It was fun. I regret it the next day at work. Won't
Oh, yeah.
lie.
Ooh, yeah, for real.
It's a slow day at work.
Well, let's get this bad boy started. Speaking of which, it's been a week of celebrations. This has been me, kicked back all week.
I personally think that if all of these women don't stay on that side, they don't deserve to touch a woman for the next 4 years. So, hope you got that through. I personally think that if all of these women don't stay on that side, they don't deserve to touch a woman for the next 4 years.
Did your erection last longer than 2 hours?
You know, I almost had to call a doctor. Oh, it's been sweet. There's been nothing but tears. CNN out here losing their minds.
There are a lot of families out there who don't believe boys should play girls' sports.
They're not boys. I'm not going to listen to transphobia at this table. I am not going to listen to you call a trans girl a boy.
Are you going to allow me to finish my explanation?
When you use a word that's a slur, I'm going to interrupt. That's not how it is. They're not boys. They're not boys. They're not playing girls softball. I'm not going to sit there and
Let's reset
listen
for
to
a
that.
second because, look, this is a really heated issue, right?
Oh, is it?
And Sharmichael, I know you. I know that you understand that people have different views on this. I think out of respect for Jay, like, let's try to talk about this in a way that is respectful.
Okay, so let me rephrase this since I'm being targeted here.
I don't,
No, it's
to be
okay.
clear, you are not being
But I
targeted.
am, but it's okay.
I'm specifically
It's okay.
saying that I know that you are not intending to be transphobic.
He should know that I'm not.
But
He wants to
I
sit
want
here
you-
and
I'm calling you
bloviate.
transphobic.
But I
I'm
want
saying
you
you're
to-
using
I
a
want-
phrase
I want to
that
give you
you
an
know.
opportunity.
So the way
Mind you, what he was trying to say was we're a panelist of people that all agree. What the other people think is that men should, they're snapping on him. He's like, I'm saying what they're saying. And they just
people interpret it.
That's not
which is why
regular
those
people.
ads-
virtue
That's not regular
signal.
people.
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to say what the other side's saying.
Yeah.
That's going to be real difficult this next election cycle.
Well, and again, what they're failing to internalize is that this insanity is exactly what was voted against.
Oh yeah.
Consensus
I wanna
these
let
are
it roll.
actually boys. This whole thing about trans girls is a canard. If we're talking about a tiny, tiny sliver of the population,
That may be the
and we're
case,
using
but
that
my point in
to take
terms of
away.
it's
We are. That's just like the population of them. Like they are less than 1%. You're looking at 1%. So out of 350 million, you're looking at 3 million. Like
Healthcare for
Effectiveness.
thousands
Just
of
get,
people.
hold on, just get to your point.
My point in terms of its effectiveness, regular people with children look at these things and they say, you know what, this is a bit too far. I do not agree with this. I don't like this. I think Democrats are going way too much to the left on social issues. They're uncomfortable with it. A lot of people believe that. A lot of families believe that. You may disagree with that reality, but that's why Republicans kept running those ads over and over and over again, because they saw the metrics suggested
And
that they were
lying
working.
in those ads over and over again, and using rhetoric like you just used, saying this is boys playing girls sports.
But what-
First of
okay,
all, we're
what's
talking
the-
about
what's the
5 people
language?
in the
What's the
entire
language
country.
you would prefer?
We're talking about trans girls being allowed to play with the people who are in their gender. And if you don't believe, you don't have to listen to me. Listen to the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association.
The American Medical
This is not about the
Guys, just one second.
This is about.
Oh God, it's just chaos. There's just chaos. And there's one last one I got for us here. And it's because, of all the sweet juiciness everybody was looking forward to the next day, The View had to have had their highest ratings they've ever had ever, just because people wanted to wallow in their misery.
I was one of them.
So, how you feel?
I wanted to watch them.
Yeah, but my takeaway.
All right, hold on, Doug.
So, how you feel? I'll start. Yeah, but my takeaway is that the system works. We live in a democracy. People spoke. This is what people wanted. I vehemently disagree with the decision that Americans made, but I feel very, very hopeful that we have a democratic system in this country. We should value it. We should love it. We should protest if the situation arises that we need to protest, which I'm sure it will. And I've been through this before with Nixon. It's been very difficult, but boy, oh boy, do we have a country if we can keep it.
Yeah.
If we can keep
I
it.
like the Nixon comment. That's pretty dated. We lived through with Nixon. I think there are more people that voted that probably don't remember Nixon now.
Well, but I'm going to say probably their viewers definitely do.
That's true.
Yeah.
All the old people at home.
What I don't get is like the taking of the rights. This is the end of the world. Nothing changed. But what I hope we can get to is some of the real dialogue that the numbers have shown, right? So, you know what? Before I get to that, through all of this transition and success, someone had some words for the departing vice president and runner-up.
You have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, you can't take it anymore. She's the worst vice president. She's grossly incompetent. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here.
Classic.
And then people sit here and they're like, I don't get it. Let's talk about the race, right? So Kamala ends the race $20 million in debt, having spent, I don't know if you guys saw the numbers, but it was like $50 million for Beyonce to come appear at her rally. So one, if I was supporting a celebrity and I saw a number so large for something so important, I personally would lose a lot of respect for them. And the reason being, you're misusing your platform. You are selling me on this being viable and truly your opinion, your will, and you being someone I trust, someone I follow. The fact that you could put a $50 million price tag on my manipulation personally makes it so that I couldn't support you. We know that the Beehive is mindlessly going to zombie march behind her, but you would think that would wake people up. So in a world where she ends a failure race and she's $20 million in the hole, and you're looking at 2.5 times that was spent on just Beyonce, who didn't perform, and you lied to the public and made them believe she was going to perform, so you had a larger group than she regularly would, and for you to then sit there and go, she ran such a, this is the the most fun of all of the dialogue. You'd see articles, where did she go wrong? And so many liberals and Democrats are saying, she never went wrong. This was the best race ever. I've never seen a race that has gone better. And it's like, see, that right there is why you're going to keep losing. Like, unless you can reflect on why your own people voted against you en masse, you're going to continue to fail and lose to people that you paint as Hitler and pigs. What do you?
The celebrity thing is a little eye-opening to me, because I didn't know they were charging this much. It's one thing to charge an appearance fee, hey, 10, 20 grand, hey, pay for my hotel, pay for, cater food, like some normal things, but you're asking $1 million, or Oprah's asking $1 million from you, the Beyonce example you gave, Katy Perry. I think there were several different other celebrities that racked up quite a tab for this campaign. And for what exactly? And I think your most valuable celebrity endorsement from the Kamala Harris campaign.
Cardi B.
No. Taylor Swift. Coming out an endorsement. Okay. What
do you think that costs?
I don't think it costs anything. I will sit here and legitimately believe that she just kind of threw that one out there because she thought she could probably move the needle on this race. I don't think she did any appearances, if I'm not mistaken. But we just see kind of how out of touch this is. Like, you're not getting the endorsements from people who actually care about those endorsements. It'd be like your local priest or pastor going, well, I endorse Donald Trump. Like, okay, that's what I thought you were going to do anyway. So you're kind of preaching to the choir more so than you are actually getting endorsements from people that matter within that electorate group. Going on the Joe Rogan podcast probably would have done a lot more for her as far as these independent.
Dude, how about this again?
Voters.
$20 million in debt. She spent like $200,000, like $150,000, building a set for Call Her Daddy.
Yes, I was going to bring that one up as well.
She couldn't go on Joe Rogan for free. Like, to me, that fully articulates why you couldn't go on Joe Rogan. You do not have the ability to speak for over an hour without scripted questions. Therefore, you'd rather spend $150,000 and the labor to build a set replica than to go to a free set with the largest, like an even larger audience, the largest internet audience you could tap into, when you were already in Austin, Texas for a stop within that week period for your own campaign. The fact that you decided to forego it, to me, screams to the heavens, you do not have the ability to converse over an hour if it isn't scripted. And how many times has Joe Rogan come out here going, I would have talked about anything. I literally just listened to him talking to Theo Vaughn. He goes, they gave me a list of things that I couldn't talk about, and I was willing to do that just so I could try. I know I could prove that she's human. I just wanted to tap in and find it. The fact that they wouldn't let me, it's like there was not a better advocate you could have found than this guy. He would have given you the best shake out of anything, and you dropped the ball. And all this miscellaneous spending, again, back to Oprah. How crazy is it that Oprah's $1 billion home in Maui gets zapped from the sky? I mean, there's a fire that sets it on fire. And she looks at you, the American public, and she says, please donate to help me and the island. And then she turns around and donates like $15 million to the Kamala Harris campaign. So it's like, how do you have the money to donate, but then you don't have the money to save your own self and community, and you're asking for our handouts? Why are you looking for the regular man, the poor, just an average American, to shovel in cash for you and your community when you clearly have millions of dollars laying around that you could throw it to a campaign that's just going to turn around and give it to Cardi B?
Well, and it's not even the media that they bought as far as ads or even endorsements or speaking arrangements. It's the I hardly want to call it earned media, but all the positive press she got. Remember when she took the endorsement from the Democratic Party, I guess we'll call it that way. It was just glowing. It was like night and day. You had articles within weeks before this endorsement, all of a sudden going, oh, she's the best. She's wonderful. She's actually done all these great things for people, and you're the problem. Don't worry about all the past problems. That was the Biden side of the administration, not the Harris side of the administration. And just this overall gaslighting of the American public that, hey, she's actually better than what she was. She was a piss poor candidate. The policies they ran on, they actually advertised on TV, was very centrist. Some would even consider a little right leaning when it's all said and done, as far as like what the ad said and such. But I think this is just a referendum on the American people. Well, I don't want you to choose the candidate for me. I want to choose my own candidate. It'd have been very interesting to see how much closer the race would be if Joe Biden just kept going. So yeah, well, we'll throw him out here again. We'll see what happens. I have a feeling it's a little bit closer.
Do you?
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that because I think he lost all faith in the people. I mean, that guy was showing clear signs of lost abilities. I mean, I've kind of had this one locked up in the chamber, haven't really shown it. It's a perfect opportunity. Here is Joe Biden on a international floor representing the country. And this was like a month before the big debate that got him removed from the public.
President, what do you say to Vladimir Putin's threat? I say to you, be quiet till I speak, okay? That's what I say. Good idea?
What do you say to Vladimir Putin's threat of war, sir? It's a serious threat.
You gotta be quiet. I'm gonna make a statement here, okay? All right, anyway. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome. Welcome back to the White House. Often said, there's no issue of global consequence where the United States and Great Britain can't work together and haven't worked together. And we're going to discuss some of these things right now. First, Ukraine. I want to thank you for the UK's leadership in this front. The United States is committed to standing with you to help Ukraine as it defends against Russia's onslaught and aggression. Putin will not prevail in this war, and the people of Ukraine will prevail.
Gubba gubba gooba dub 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 the gubba. Here's the deal.
Come on, man.
People just wanted it to end. And here is the irrefutable fact. Mean tweets, vulgar language, hilarious. However, all of those terrible political attributes aside, the dude ended everything immediately. He isn't even president yet. Like, at what point are we going to get prideful about America's authority being restored? We were on the verge of nuclear war. We totally underplay our relationship with North Korea when Obama was wrapping up his last term. I mean, we've got comedians mocking him, and the interview was hilarious. I will tell you right now, the interview could have gone to theaters with Trump being president, and there would have been no escalation. It would have been the status quo. Admit it. So in Obama's world, we have a crazy dictator with nuclear power who has never and refuses to meet with an American representative. Then we create a movie, and he's gotten his threat so real and so strong that we pull the movie from movie theaters, and yet we don't want to be total bitches, so you can buy it elsewhere. Like, jump a couple hoops and you could get it still. And again, it's not like we're short of antagonizing. You had folks in South Korea burning it on DVDs, tying it to balloons, and throwing them over the border. I mean, we were definitely shaking the bee's hive. And everybody's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then the mean tweets guy gets in, and they're like, we are screwed. And then within a week, he's shaking hands at the border, and it's all done. All done. And so I'm supposed to sit here dumbfounded when Dubba Gubba Gooba Gooba is sitting at a table, and they're just like, but Ukraine, Ukraine. And then Trump walks in, Gaza goes, all right, we're done. Palestinians are like, we're done. We're gonna just call it quits. Thanks for playing. When it came to Ukraine, both Zelensky and Putin are like, yep, we're just waiting for the day so we can meet. And then we're going to sign a contract and it'll all be over. Zelensky, I almost had it queued up, but it's pretty long. Zelensky gives a speech where it's just like him filming to like an iPad. And he goes, we met once in July and we met once in September. We know the plan with Donald Trump and we are prepared to execute it. And upon his presidency, the conflict with Russia will be squashed. What is it? This is my guess, and this is why he goes, I can't tell you the plan, because then it won't work. I bet you the plan was, hey, guy that's stealing all their money. It's over when I get there. So here's what I'm going to tell you. We can restore your protection and keep you a place, but you're going to sign his contract that says you're not joining NATO. Otherwise, I'm just pulling out, and he's going to run right through you. So stay a country and sign the contract, because the truth is that was the gentleman's agreement for the last 70 years or 50 years. So that was the agreement we originally had, and then we broke it. You owe it to him to restore that, and then at that point it's over, and we'll just move on. So what's funny is Dave Smith, who's a libertarian, I really love listening to him, and he was on Joe Rogan the day after, and he goes, all right, Trump said all these great things. Now he has to execute them. He can't be talk. And this is an opportunity for him to unite us. Hopefully he seizes it. But he goes, you could go through he's got all these hopes and dreams, and I can't wait to get to them, right? He's going to, I think, change the world drastically. An internet bill of rights. I mean, we're going to go down that lane. Some awesome things. RFK Jr. is already locked and loaded with some great policies, and distilling all of that, Dave Smith's like, if he can just distill Palestine and Gaza and Israel, distill Ukraine and Russia and all those conflicts, and put a halt to the biggest money mechanism within the military industrial complex, and then maybe do a thing or two about free speech, the here and there. If he could do that, he'll go down in history as the greatest president ever. Dude hasn't even sat in the chair yet. And here we are. They're already backing down. So to me, listen, I'm never going to stray away from the multiple episodes where I've said they're all fingers to the same hand. But clearly he is at war with the mechanism. So I think it feels like this is the most hope we've had, at least in a while. So they've been sitting comfortably for a while. So Ricky, what are your thoughts? And then we'll go to silent.
That's all Trump have to do to be the greatest president ever, bro. That's it.
I mean, what are we comparing it to? The most unmanned drone killings in human history by Obama? Or
I'm not even thinking about no current president, but my greatest president ever is FDR.
For
getting to America through the Great Depression, how he handled World War II, the big stick deal. Like I love fucking FDR,
Me too.
but that's it. Look,
Two
it would
wars.
be up there. It would be up there if he squashed 2 wars and the internet Bill of Rights. And he will be up there. But only history can tell.
That's fair. And again, there's still a lot more to come. So history will tell. Like we've got a lot to figure out here. But I do believe compared to the last, at least our lifetime of presidents, not starting new wars and distilling or ending 2 of them is pretty much all I could ask for. Considering you really can only do so much in 4 years. The last 4 years showed it. But if we can not make it worse, I think that's a victory.
Yeah, he has a real opportunity to have his Ronald Reagan moment. I'd be able to just come in day one, stop. At least I think the Israel-Palestine thing might be a little bit of a pipe dream because you're expecting the Israelis just kind of just stop what they were doing, but at least
we know they won't.
The Ukraine-Russia conflict, yeah, you could come to peace terms even like inauguration day.
They want to.
They're done. Would be nice. Now I'd like to see it with. I think everyone in this room could probably be in agreement here. Just go back to the way things were pre-Ukraine.
Which that contract would do that.
Yeah, just go to the exact borders we had. You don't lose any land. There we go. It's a lot of bloodshed. Sucks, but all right. Well, at least the war's done, and we can stop worrying about you bombing me. So that would be prime time. The Internet Bill of Rights. I don't think you can enact that. That's probably a policy provision.
Well, let's get to that. Save that.
All right. So we'll save that for later. But yeah, no new wars would be wonderful. But you can't really just do that day one. Every day you're not in a new war is probably a good day. But stop the wars. At least just make it seem like, hey, there's some stability. There's a little bit of force. Like, all right, sheriff's back in town. Nothing's going to happen under my watch. And in fairness, nothing did happen last time. So let's keep that ball rolling and let's see if he's good on his word for it. Because that first, is it day one it happens? Maybe not, but is it first month? At least the first 180 days comes to a close. Okay, all right, now you're for real. You're delivering what you're promising, and you're not just full of hot air, which I think sometimes he can be a little exaggeratory. Would be probably a fair way to put it.
I can appreciate that. Silent, our eyes from above. What are your thoughts in Canada?
I think if Trump can restart the Abraham Accords that he started during his first term, and he can get more countries in the Middle East to sign it, I think that will be a huge victory, massive stability to the Middle East. And even if, like you said, he could just stop these 2 wars that are currently going on, that will also be a massive victory too.
I'll be curious to see kind of what happens with that. But
only time will tell, right?
I think it's a good time to transition to Charlie Kirk was explaining on an interview here how he was able to assist the administration in achieving the goal of getting really the popular vote beyond just the Electoral College.
Donald Trump's campaign strategy, of which we helped execute on the ground in some of these states, was that, guys, don't spend your time knocking on doors about a suburban soccer mom who's weighing her options. Instead, because that takes 9 contacts to try to get her. 9 points of contact on average. Conversations, discussions, and they could be 30 minutes on it. Instead, turning point, go spend your time in very Republican areas where there are non-registered or what we call disengaged voters. People that like Trump, like his worldview. For example, the bro vote, right? And so this is where we spent our time, and we harvested, not ballot harvested, but we harvested in a very, very powerful way. Arizona State University, for example, we registered thousands of young men to vote in fraternities. And that was way easier than us going to try to win over swing voters. And we did a little bit of that, but generally the Trump campaign was brilliant because they threw the Republican consultant playbook out. The Republican consultant playbook was spend all your time on the middle, on those like middle 15% swing voters and go all in. Trump campaign said, why don't we just make our base bigger? Why don't we just make the people who love us the most? And so what they looked at was demographics. And they realized if we can make the electorate 3% more masculine and by the way, they were so smart to do this.
This is Susie?
This is Susie and James Blair and La Savita And they were so smart because they said, wait a second, what is more important than race? Whether or not you're a man or a woman actually dictates your political affiliation far more of a correlation than your race. So they de-emphasized racial politics and they emphasized more of a masculine machismo approach. And boy, did it work. And not only did it work, you're running up against a woman, so it's easier to kind of make that argument. And so I don't mean to monopolize the time. But
this is really interesting. Keep going.
And so what the Trump campaign then did, the Republican consultant playbook that Karl Rove basically authored was everything is about high propensity. So there's two types of voters, high propensity and low propensity voters. A high propensity voter is typically college educated, lives in the suburbs. You know, they watch Chris, they watch CNN, they have an income over $100,000 a year. They have 2 kids and a picket fence, and they go to soccer games, and they don't commit crimes. You know, that type of demo, right? High propensity voters is where the Republican Party has always been focused. Okay, but Trump came in and he said, no. We're going to focus on low propensity voters. The welder, the electrician, the carpenter, the police officer, or the person that's just not registered to vote. Where I thought that Donald Trump was going to win, and I wasn't as confident as anybody else, okay, was when I started to see the voter registration surge across the country. In the summer before this last summer, new people that were registering to vote were registering at a clip 3-1 versus Democrat. In Pennsylvania, for the first time ever, in Pennsylvania, for the first time ever, we had every county in Pennsylvania, we were out registering Democrats for the first time ever. Now, mind you, what Josh Shapiro did as governor of Pennsylvania is he put in a thing called motor voter, which means you automatically get registered to vote. They thought that was going to help Democrats.
When you get your license.
When you get your driver's license. It helped Republicans because of lower. Think about who's not registered to vote. It's typically lower propensity voters. And PBD. Here's the kicker. Where do these people get their information? Lower propensity voters get information on TikTok. They're not watching CNN. They're not sitting. You know why? These folks are darn tired by the time they get home. They're not turning on.
Don't belittle TikTok.
Cable news. NFL football games. They're the ones that are not going to be able to quote to you, Marbury. They're not. By the way,
it's also this.
Yeah, it's also the phone. So what Donald Trump campaign did is they hacked the 2024 election, not in a way that people would think, where they said, wait a second, everyone has a supercomputer in the right-hand pocket. Why are we worried about what CNN is saying or MSNBC is saying? Why don't we win the information war? And then finally, the kicker, they said, why don't we go on the most ambitious, over-the-top, low-propensity voter communication strategy on Theo Von, Joe Rogan, Nelk Boys, Logan Paul.
Low propensity,
right? And what they said is
it sounds bad.
Reservoir. And the final kicker, my mandate at Turning Point was very simple. Charlie, turn Trump supporters into voters. And that's what we did.
Well, here's the question. You tell me, did it work?
Kamala, you're fired.
I had to pull it because the YMCA, no matter how much it slaps, it's going to get us in trouble. So, do you have any thoughts before we kick
Well,
into the
that was I thought that was a strategy the Harris campaign was going to do. That was the big fear with the Taylor Swift endorsement. She goes out, she gets a bunch of people registered. These are, I think it's the exact same profile. I'm a young woman. I'm not too terribly worried about politics. I'm just kind of doing my thing. I like the Swifty profile, but the low propensity. It's like I'm not really engaged in politics, but I'm aware of politics. That's, I think, what the fear was with the Republican campaign with that endorsement. And it never quite seemed to manifest itself in the way that I think it wouldn't shock me if they kind of got that idea from Taylor Swift and went, well, we can just do this on our end, on our side. And I do want to disagree here a little bit with the Charlie Kirk thing on the at least the Joe Rogan side of the podcast. I think, he was going after kind of the bro team, making it a little more. He was trying to be appetizing because what's all the media saying? Well, he's essentially Hitler 2.0, or he's going to be a fascist. All this. Well, if he just comes in, tell some jokes on Theo Von, or talk with Lex Friedman, okay, he seems all right. Now the Joe Rogan thing, I think, eventually kind of like a roller coaster thing, went to a top, and then he finally got that okay. Because Joe Rogan famously said, well, no, I don't. His teams reached out to me before. I said no. And Trump's not exactly a guy you say no to. And then when you say yes, he doesn't usually just come back. But it just kind of shows Twitter. The power of that platform where, you kind of do need me a little bit. So if I invite you on, you better show up this time. Yep.
No, I like that point. Let's flip it to the pickle gallery. Ricky, what are your thoughts?
Their strategy worked. The proof is in the pudding. Like Trump being on podcasts that the common folks listen to, and then not just doing the scripted 30 minutes or an hour, actually going into random conversation and just elaborating. When it turned for me, it was on Fragrant when they was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna stay here for an extra couple 30 more minutes. You can't tell me what to do." That's why I was like, "All right, he's cognitive, he's aware. 2 hours, no break. He ain't gotta go piss. He ain't got a weak bladder. You know what I mean?" So it's like this is a guy you want to be sitting in a world freaking more serious environment other than someone that giggles and laugh about everything and that no one really voted for. They pushed in your face, and she lost the last time she actually ran on her own platform. So, like,
Ricky, can we be only because you kind of flirted with the topic? Can we talk about how delusional Charlemagne the God is? Like, that dude's gone off his flipping.
Yes, especially that he keeps saying certain things like the Charlottesville thing, but like it's been in history, like it's been on record. Like if you watch the full clip, he ain't talking about a white supremacist, like, and that's one of his main argument. And he said there's 5 people on both sides, and they were there before. They had permits, and these other people show up. We don't condone what they did, but like. Look, Charlemagne has lost a little respect for me. I slowed down watching The Breakfast Club, but I still watch The Breakfast Club.
The
I ain't gonna cap.
Breakfast
But
Club has a bigger platform than Joe Rogan.
Crazy.
He said that with Andrew Schultz. And it's just
I understand why he says that, because they're live every morning in so many cities across America. I understand why. And Joe Rogan, I get his logic. I get his logic.
So Spotify downloads. I remember reading a while ago. This probably isn't fairly recent, but before Taylor Swift's new album for her Eras tour, every Joe Rogan podcast release is of the same magnitude as a Taylor Swift album release.
Whoa!
And he's doing one every other day, and obviously she's only got 5, 6, 7 records total.
So I'm gonna share the screen here because I wanted to take a look at the dude's numbers currently, just on YouTube alone, right? Because he talks about across the platforms. I listen to him on Spotify, so I'm not even getting him on here. Theo got 5 million, 3 million. We could zoom a little bit. Oh, perfect. John Fetterman, nothing. Here's the big one. 49 million on YouTube alone, and YouTube removed the ability for you to find it.
Yeah, kind of shadow banned.
They were doing nefarious crap, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I'm sure Spotify's numbers are easily 20 million, 30 million. Like you're almost getting double. So you're looking at close to probably 100 million views, downloads, plays across all platforms. Apple Podcasts, Google Play. I mean, what does Call Her Daddy get? That's what I want to see, because I'm going to go out on a limb and say not 50 million.
But the thing about Breakfast Club is their fans saw the switch in Charlemagne because he wasn't with Carmela in the first, and they saw the switch. And when people call into the show, they call him out on it. People are done with the celebrity endorsement, blindly say, "Yo, you go vote for this. You black, you got to do this. Oh, this is if you don't do this, it's Hitler." People are tired of their clickbait sayings, man.
Well, and again, are you and that's I love Ricky making that point, because that's the virtue. Why did Joe Rogan's platform get so large? Why is it even worth taking in that time? Because sometimes you don't have 3.5 hours to listen to JD Vance. Sometimes you just have 3 minutes, and that's all you can give. I mean, I had a So Here's Where I'm At come out yesterday. It's a big ask for somebody to sit down and listen to dense content for 18 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's not like there's that one doesn't have a whole lot of laughs, just a lot of truths. Yeah. And it's kind of like an audiobook. How often do you have 18 minutes to just listen to a conversation or a dialogue or an infomercial? So part of it is, one, we don't have the time, but on the flip side, you got to make the time, because what you learn, that came out, I think, in Joe Rogan talking to Tim Dillon. It's like a universal truth. Or no, it was Elon Musk. He goes, you get to that hour 2, hour 3, and you are officially talking to the real person. Like, you can bullshit and be a faux, put up the mask, be a facade for about an hour. But an hour in unscripted dialogue, I'm going to get to the real you. And I think that's why there's such a fear about a platform like that, or going on a show like that, especially if they're not going to play ball and give you predetermined questions.
Yeah, that's why it's pretty celebratory anytime we see a politician go on one of these shows and go the distance too, not
Hence
just
the champagne.
Yeah, it's fun to see. It's nice to see kind of where they're actually at. We beat this dead horse 1,000 times, but it is nice and it's refreshing to see them in a different light versus just CNN sound bites, Fox News sound bites, or even on the Senate or House floor spouting off their 4 or 5 minutes of garbage that they sign my 1,000-page bill because of bridges or something. I don't know.
Silent, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is definitely the way moving forward for anybody that wants to run for office, whether it's a president or a mayor or any sort of office, really, because this just showed us how people are actually paying attention more to their phones and social media than to TV and other forms of media. And the Trump campaign knew this, and they fully capitalized on it, and it clearly worked. And I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize is this is the future. Like, we are here. Like, podcasts, long form, social media, like, we are here. This is it. CNN dying, MSNBC dying, ABC dying, Fox News dying. All of them are dying. And I think whoever wants to reach the most people in the most effective, most efficient, most cheapest way too, by the way, you have to switch to advertising or sending your message on a podcast or social media. That's why even like companies are also starting to shift their dollars from TV into social media and podcasts as well too.
No, I love that point, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to leapfrog into the next topic that we were flirting with. You really wanted to dive into, the Internet Bill of Rights. So first, let's get to, I have a clip here of RFK Jr. talking about, one, leading to why they found the success that they did, but also kind of exclaiming the call to what requires our attention and what will become a exercise that will require our effort to defeat.
Harris and Hillary Clinton and Tim Walz all made statements in the last 2 weeks saying that essentially that the First Amendment is a privilege, it's not a right. That the government has a right to censor misinformation or disinformation.
Where did they say that?
They said it publicly, and you can go look at it. It's on like 20 memes right now, all 3 of them saying it.
They said it wasn't a right?
Kamala used the word, it's a privilege. It's free speech is a privilege.
He has lost his privileges and it should be taken down. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop.
And they all said, the government has a duty to censor misinformation or disinformation. Why is that? If the government is now the arbiter, that it's determined what is misinformation or disinformation, it's not actually looking at the facts. It's looking at things that are critical of them. And no government in history has ever wanted to censor people for telling lies. They censor people for telling the truth. That's what they don't want to hear.
Interesting.
And if we give our government the power to determine what's true or not true, the things they're going to say are not true are things that are critical of them. That's the danger in letting the government decide what is misinformation or disinformation.
Who are you going to let be the arbiter of truth? Now, let's transition to the commander-in-chief exclaiming his plan moving forward.
The time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not
All right.
send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter.
That's very achievable, by the way.
Furthermore, when users of big online platforms have their content or accounts removed, throttled, shadow banned, or otherwise restricted, no matter what name they use, they should have the right to be informed that it's happening, the right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal.
That's very achievable, David. That is a basic Bill of Rights that will
I love that.
be
I
real.
love that.
I fuck with it.
Listen, the
I love
Rethink
that.
Tank loves that. You know what I
Hey.
don't love? Living in the world of speculation. Is my content crap or am I shadow banned? And then the day after an election, we boost back to our regular numbers. Yeah, the content never changed. The throttle is off. And so, like he said, if we are not going to deny that you might have a right as a private company to control the platform as you see fit, to censor and do these things. However, to restore the right back to the individual to at least be knowledgeable of it. And again, I'm disappointed actually that he's doing this. I'm not at all, but I'm disappointed that he's doing this because it disarmed. I wanted to sue. I was ready to sue and change the world with precedent. This is what I had predicted. I believe, so YouTube gets to sit there and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I own YouTube. And because it's privately my playground, I get to determine the rules, the words that are said, the actions that are done. I get to police it because it's mine. And that is America, right? If you owned this plot of land in your parking lot, right, you could do what you see fit. It's yours within reason, within ordinance. But what's interesting is these people were changing the rules, right? They were selling to you. So let's say David and I are one. You could, I yelled at Doug. He uses the middle camera too much. You can use the middle camera for this one. Okay. So David and I, first, David and I.
There we
Okay.
go. See.
I have a profile. David has a profile. I say all the bad things. David makes birdhouses. And YouTube's like, this is shit content, but people love it. And it isn't saying Kamala's retarded. So we're going to let it bloom.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep going in the hole. Okay. So if YouTube's allowed to do that, right? YouTube's allowed to make the rules to the playground.
Yeah.
However, I believe it's false advertising, it's manipulation of the consumer base, and it's fraudulent. If YouTube is lying to me and you, saying you and I have the same exact platform. So now, living in a world where I'm in a hole and I'm spending hundreds of dollars on a monthly basis to try to boost numbers, and it's like running on a treadmill chasing a carrot. Like, it's totally futile. I'm going nowhere. However, you're happily taking my money. Now that there is an exchange, right? The UCC, we are exchanging for a service or good. You are selling me the same platform David is getting. However, mine isn't. I'm shadow banned.
Yep.
You said retard just a couple too many times, and now we can't put you out to the people. Okay, like Trump is in, and that's why I'm bummed. He's going to beat me to it. It was going to, I think legal precedent could have changed this in that if you are going to throttle, shadow ban, or change my algorithm, you cannot fraudulently sell to me that my algorithm is the same as yours. You have to, at the very least, inform me that what I am exchanging for is different than what you're being advertised. False advertisement. And damn it, with a Bill of Rights, he's going to wipe it all away and save us again. And there's like 3 more other things that are totally tangible. Now I flip it to you.
I think he could go one step further on instead of, because I don't think you. Here's probably where we disagree on this. I don't think you have a right to access quite the same way you do. You have the right to be on the platform. And what I mean by that is like discovery. So you don't necessarily, do you deserve and have the same rights as everyone else on discovery?
You're talking about access.
Hold on.
I don't deserve the same amount of access as you, but the whole crux of my argument is that I am owed the knowledge of that difference. So I'm not owed the same thing as you. They could do whatever they want, but at the very least, you need to tell me, and just like Trump says, first, tell me what it is that is putting me in this category. Again, you're saying words or you're doing actions. Every time you pour yourself another bourbon, we just can't have that being promoted. Well, then tell me that. I'm gonna have Capri Sun out here like it's Don Perignon. Like I'll happily do that. Or you need to at least make me aware that this is what's going on so I can make those decisions. If I continue to go, no, screw you, I'm going to keep pouring myself a bourbon, well, then I deserve everything that's coming to me. But you can't sell me that, like, we're not going to tell you that has any effect. Really, without exclamation, you are saying that none of that is truly affecting me, because that is what you're selling the public, is that there is no shadow banning, that we don't do this to accounts. But thank goodness for the Twitter files, we see that's exactly what's happening. And more often than not, at the direction by our government.
Yeah, I think we can go one step further, though.
Take steps.
You have your choice of algorithm. So I think every social media account that has some sort of like subscription, you got to follow a page, it should just be first come, first serve. So, or whatever, like the timeline, however they like the most recent timeline, just in chronological order from when it was posted. And that's it. That should be everyone's default algorithm. Now, if you want your own special algorithm for discovery and find new things, that's completely fine, but you should be able to control it or reset whenever you think, well, I see too much I see too much bird watching, or I see too much sports.
Wait, but you're talking about from the consumer's standpoint.
Correct. I think this consumers should have the right to have that on these platforms.
Okay, so what you're calling for is even more transparency. Let's be clear, we're like two passing ships in the night, because my whole conversation has been about the content creator and yours has been consumer. I don't have a problem with that, but they're two different perspectives at the same statue in the middle of the room. I agree with you that the consumer should also know, like, what algorithm hole have you put me in? And again, you should be able to reset it. With the spirit of transparency, even if I can't control it, even if I can't manipulate it, I should at least have knowledge of what it is and how that plays.
I agree.
So I think that's another thing to call for. But the problem is that really isn't something that's addressed in the Internet Bill of Rights that Trump's calling for, because there's another element that him and Elon Musk have exclaimed they intend on addressing directly. But the fact that Edward Snowden and Julian Assange can sound the alarm that our agencies have overstepped what would be legally understood, and they can wiretap or click into pretty much anything. The fact that through its creation, they were able to use that, the precedent through that, to tap into Trump and his campaign. One, thank goodness he's a angry, competitive man, because that's compelled him to address this directly. But like, again, that is what they're directly trying to address, is your intervention into me, whether it's reading into my messages, manipulation of my algorithm, suppressing my content, suppressing my voice. You can do those things. You just transparency. You owe it to me to make me aware, because again, it comes back to my legal argument. I was saying, you're selling me fraudulently one thing when it's something completely different, and it's allowed to be something completely different. But just like Red Bull doesn't give you wings and they lose that lawsuit, You can't tell me this is going to give me wings and it just doesn't. You're going to fly. You've got the same algorithm as the Birdhouse creator, and you're just going to soar on our platform. It just must be that your videos suck. And then it's because I've criticized George Soros or Israel too much, and that's why I'm never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I think on the and then this might be a more interesting in-depth dialogue on the producer side versus the consumer side. So I think on the consumer side, you have that transparency of algorithm transparency. Now all of a sudden, if you know the rules of my game, you know how to play the game, and I know exactly what I'm getting myself into. I can watch and do whatever, reset, or just have a standardization of the primary algorithm, and then from there you just kind of level the market in a way.
No, I can appreciate
instead of on the creator side, the creators having rights, more of on the watcher side, the consumer itself having the rights, kind of like how we have businesses now. Like, yeah, the consumers have rights and the businesses kind of have to play.
And again, just like needing to know the ingredients on a label, I completely agree that's owed to the public. And what is the purpose of these agencies if not to create information is power?
Yeah.
So, equip the public with that power and instill them with the knowledge of what they're consuming, what they're dealing with. And I think that'll promote, just a more fruitful world for both sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter your team jersey.
For sure.
Silent, what are your thoughts on the whole ideal?
I think the what? Sorry,
nothing.
Hard for him.
Come on, man!
You threw the poor guy off.
He doesn't usually get shaken like this. It's a little odd.
You got me. Now I forgot what we were even talking about. So
a Bill of Rights for the internet.
Yes. So like the thing about having a Bill of Rights is this should have been done years ago.
Yeah,
right?
for real.
The fact that we are just doing it now in 2024 when the internet's been a thing for 3 decades now, like it's
real quick, not to interrupt you, but I do want to exclaim why that's the case. This was a whole new legal frontier, at least in the United States, right? So Facebook just was, through its inception, introduced to the public. Then comes Twitter, then comes all these other platforms. What did the Twitter files show us again? It only solidifies this as a truth, as a fact. But when we were in college, I would talk about all the time how these social media platforms would directly cooperate with the government. We'll give you whatever you want. Like you want phone numbers, you want geolocations, really whatever you want. And the reason being, as long as I have perfect and direct cooperation, they will never be compelled to go into Congress and create laws to control us. So it's been the wild, wild west for 3 decades because they've directly cooperated with the government. And then the government's like, well, we don't need to make laws because they're doing their deed. And now we're here 20, 30 years later, aggravated that why didn't this should have been done already? And it's because it strengthened their ability by eliminating even the consideration of restraint or any kind of laws that dictate them. Doug's itching, and then we're going back to silent. But Doug's itching
because we're talking about the law here in the U.S. We have Silent talking about it, and you mentioned, well, here in the U.S. this is what it's been. So I'm curious, Silent, like what are you guys doing up there about this, or have you guys done something there? Because we're talking about us here. What we're talking about won't even affect you if it does pass,
right? Damn, still got no rights up there, you Canuck.
Yeah, the only thing that we have passed recently for the internet is a sales tax on like internet stuff, like your Netflix subscription. Now you have to pay sales tax on that.
You're years behind us on that.
Yeah. Like
government got our money.
That's honestly the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that the government has passed. That's kind of like internet related, really.
Fortunately for you, the top of us is like an open sieve. You can just walk in. If you want more rights, come on down.
Yes.
We'll happily take
Yeah.
it. We're taking people in troves. In fact, you'll get a debit card. You could vote in the next election.
Hey, maybe I should lose my passport and just show up at the border, huh?
Jokes, government jokes.
Just kidding.
Government.
Hey, speaking of which, we haven't gotten to it yet. What do we make of this picture? All of the countries that were won by Democrats are no ID country or states. So how wild is that fact? The only states you could win are ones where you could cheat. Wild to me. Do you have any commentary on this?
I do have a little.
Oh,
a
please
few things.
bestow some knowledge on me.
So these were already states that were fairly blue to begin with. I don't think this necessarily changes too much of anything, because it's the state does have the under the direction of the Constitution. State does have the ability to decide how it wants to do its own election. So yeah, if we personally don't like we like voter ID laws, probably a better way to put it. We like that.
Love them.
However, if the population decides they really don't want it within that state, it is within the state's rights to be able to do that. And they just all so happen to be fairly liberal, and they're already going to be voting for the Democrat anyway. It doesn't, not even Kamala, just the Democrat regardless. So yeah, I when I saw that, it doesn't too terribly shock me. But it is, it's a little funny to see it kind of put
literally
like
in
that.
Carte blanche, blatantly in your face. Doug's itching. Doug, what are your thoughts?
I think it's funny. Ohio currently doesn't have we have our own law, but it's not like a super strict type of voter ID law either, like some other ones kind of have. But first time ever, they were almost going to turn me away for voting because the signature I did on that little machine didn't match what wherever they got this signature on file.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Interesting.
and
I didn't have a signature.
I had a signature.
When you sign up to vote, they're comparing the signature you do on the little machine to a signature they had. Now, I
Dude,
don't
I
know.
didn't sign.
You didn't sign?
I didn't sign.
You had to have signed.
No,
they check your
wanted,
ID and
they
you signed.
wanted Haitians in Brecksville.
That's
what it was. Great Haitians.
Your vote probably didn't count.
It changed the world, David. Wait, no, dude. My whole district. If there wasn't a signature pad, the whole district didn't have a signature pad. It's not like she was like, "Hey, sign," and I was like, "No,
but don't
I'm
they?
Haitian, I refuse."
But when they scan your ID, so they scanned your ID, they would have had to have, and they scanned your
do that.
ballot to match it to your ID.
They did that too.
So that same little iPad, they
would've-
flipped it
hold
over.
on,
I was
time
about
out.
expecting to
Can
tip.
we just appreciate for a second Doug in line, and they're like, "Sir, your signature doesn't."
No,
He's
no,
like,
no.
"That's mine. I only got one. It's mine." That's
Well,
mine.
literally the first time I did my finger because I'm like, I've never had them question. I just did blah, blah, blah. I'm using my finger. She goes,
Doug's like, "That's not your signature," and he just pricks his thumb and is just like, "Whoop, "This is my signature, ordained by God."
It's in blood, bitch.
Hey, you can't fake blood, damn it. So why don't you just take a blood sample while you're at it? But no, seriously, I don't know where they got that signature sample because I haven't signed my name like that since I was a minor. So I don't know where the hell they got that signature example
Doesn't
from.
your ID have your signature on it?
Yes. Which
Yeah, it
again,
did.
that's what I thought.
And you would think they're matching up to what's you're on your ID. No, what she was comparing it to was not the one on my ID because I showed her what was on my ID and it matched exactly what I just did.
That's probably why you were able to vote. Like, oh, hey, I have this on my ID. Voter ID helped you to be able to vote. Now, really, theoretically, they should just take your vote, and if they want to prosecute it later, they can.
Or they'd give you like a provisional ballot.
Yeah, that's what they should have done instead of just, sorry, Doug, you look like you're going to vote for Trump. We don't need any more of you here.
I've never had that, but to be fair, like it was
To be
an older
fair,
woman. I don't know. Or no, I'm sorry, it was a younger woman. Usually you get one of those older people that this is like their 20th election. They just go, "You have an ID? Go on and vote."
Well, okay, Ricky's like, "Yo, make the screen large." I'm like, I'm waiting for him to shut up so I can play another one. All right.
Make the screen large.
Make the screen large.
No. Okay. First off, can we just appreciate for a second that let's bring Ricky back here. Can we appreciate for a second that this movement had more coverage than Verizon. And for a second, kudos to Oklahoma. You're the only purest state. 100% the right color.
Oh, really?
Like, oh yeah.
Oh my
Even
God.
over
Oklahoma
West
is
Virginia.
totally red.
Holy crap.
They're my people. They get it. And yet they're just a big old pile of garbage, you Puerto Ricans. But speaking of the numbers,
What the Puerto Ricans do to you?
Yeah, dude, that
they
was
didn't
what
do
I was
anything to me. They upset Tony Hinchcliffe, if anybody. Again, the numbers speak volumes. The numbers are what's doing the talking. Where's the missing 15 million people?
Oh, yeah,
Are we going to finally have a real conversation about the BS that was the 2020 election? You did a CIA play at Capitol Hill, and you're going to pretend that this wasn't a complete sham? The whole country knew it. It's in front of our face. I had a colleague, a superior, look at me and go, "Where'd they go? Where'd the 15 million go?" And I go, "You want to know where they went? They're still dead. That's where they were the first time. That's where we're at." And you know what's funny? When you had a world where we were all 6 feet apart, the president is campaigning from a basement, we're all wearing masks, can't see each other in the face. If you go have Thanksgiving dinner with your family, which again is 2 weeks after the election, you are killing grandmas. It made it incredibly easier for nefarious actions. And now that the country was on incredible high alert that you're all a bunch of cheaters, the numbers speak for themselves. You got eyeballs and cameras looking for the BS. Through our live show, we were able to show there was plenty of the BS, but the beauty was with everybody being outside and also looking for it, none of it slid through the cracks. So I rest my case with, again, where's the missing 15 million? And why are we going to brush all over that?
Can I play devil's advocate?
Please. The people didn't care and the moderate abstained.
Well,
I couldn't disagree more.
I think there's some of that. I think it's fair to say some people didn't vote. As in every election, some people don't vote. But there was, remember, if we all remember back at that time, there was a big push for mail-in ballots. And I think a lot of that implementation was fairly sloppy. And it was fairly easy to get one. Plus, no one else had anything better to do. And mostly, so like the polling theory goes, where the Democrats answer the the pollsters because they're at home doing nothing, while most of the Republicans are either outside or working or doing something else other than sitting at home. So there's probably a good percentage of those that, if I can't just mail in vote like I want to, I'm probably just not going to at all. Or they're just disenfranchised by, not a great candidate to begin with. That's why I come back and I think maybe there might have been a few people.
Wait. Are you making the claim that there were less people doing mail-in ballots?
I think it was a lot easier to obtain a mail-in ballot in 2020 than it was this election. So we just kind of sloppily put it together, threw it out there with little regard to be able to, double check everything. And because we also noticed too, when we bring up that graph, there was less Republicans that voted as well.
Well, I do have to comment that if you remember, 2020 was the last Ohio election that everyone got sent a mail-in ballot by default. They changed it.
Yeah, so that accounts for some of it. We don't know how many people. Now, is there probably some fraud? Absolutely.
But now in Ohio, we fixed that. Woo!
Well, there's probably some fraud in this election too. But I think there's enough explanations that probably close that gap. Does it explain all of it? No, it doesn't at all. But it doesn't necessarily need to, because there is, I think everyone agrees there's some fraud in these elections. It's not 100% safe. Is it enough to sway the election? I doubt it. I'm not a stop the steal guy. But there is, I do enjoy seeing this discourse online though, where you see some Reddit communities going like, all right, so what actually happened here, guys? Now that let's pull down the curtain. What do we think? And it is nice to see that gaining a little bit of traction. So it's just in a nice, easy chart.
I mean, it's just a beautiful chart, and the people are out here just wondering where the missing 15 million are. But maybe that's just me. Oh, I never. But I want to wrap it with at least a piece here.
Okay.
When I had a superior ask me how could I possibly vote against my own sister's reproductive rights? And then I said, well, ironically, she voted for the orange man bad. Oh, the world's ruined, and she's an educated woman. And so then we see it devolve. It doesn't matter how educated you are, how well versed in the topic you are. The propaganda was so strong that en masse, the day following the election, everybody just thought their womb was going to be sewed shut. And what's funny is it perfectly paralleled the exact experience of the last election. It was great. I was throwing my own personal parade for the second time. No, this time it was just YMCA. YMCA.
It's not copyright if you sing it yourself. Woo!
Exactly. Right? Take that, YouTube. We're just going to YMCA all night. But again, I'm throwing my own little party. And in 2016, you look outside and it's all my gay friends are losing their lives. It's over, and to the camps they go. And you're just like, that's not going to happen. Little secret, it didn't happen. You're dumb. You're dumb. That whole demographic came out in troves voting for the guy. This time, because they're so sick of you lying to them in their face. How many lies can you, like Ricky's brought up a few. I mean, how many lies can you continue to repeat? There's fine people on both sides. Like, the internet exists. Kamala, you cannot go to a Jewish prominent location and go, we're going to stand for Israel. And then go to New York and go, we're going to support Gaza. People are going to know this is not 1850 and you're not on a train like FDR just going across the country. I will see what you said on the other side.
Bruh, easy on the FDR slant, bruh.
He did have to campaign by train. Those are just facts.
Cha-ching. Doug,
Or choo-choo.
I'm encroaching on your train, your property. I'm history buff.
Bring it.
But I bringing it kind of to a different subject, bringing it to a close. Just like that time, we're living in a world where nothing's changed. And for the majority, it's not even the electorate, the majority believe this was the best option. I want to leave you with another thing, and then I'm going to get to this point. It was the middle of the night Wednesday, and I was coming to record the So Here's Where I'm At that came out yesterday. And I looked at my dad. I go, just check me if this is a bad idea. I'm thinking of, I think I came up with something. Let me know if you think this is sharp. I go, because I'm a huge advocate of the Electoral College. I think it is the preservation of democracy in our country. And yet, did you know Trump is the first Republican to win presidency by popular vote as well? Every Republican has been the Electoral College. I did not know that. So, laying the groundwork, it's only Democrats that call for the abolishment of the Electoral College. They think it cheats them. And it should just be strictly the popular vote. Now, through the perspective of time, I want to make an argument why it is so valuable to preserve the voice of the minority in a democracy. In 2016, Trump did not win the popular vote by a small margin. It wasn't overwhelming. Nothing like the buried numbers we had this time, a couple 100,000. He lost the popular vote, but won the Electoral College. At that time, you had Democrats screaming that there is a damnation to the Electoral College. We should get rid of it, and it should only be the popular vote. Now, with the perspective of time, the minority's will, which was preserved, or voice, which was preserved through the Electoral College, eventually became the will of the entire population, right? It became the will of the masses, the popular vote. So I want to make the claim that it shows this instance, the last 12 years or these 8 years leading into the next 4 directly show why it's so important to have an electoral college, because you can preserve a minority voice that would be dominated and wouldn't exist in this collection of 50 countries. And it clearly is worth preserving. It's clearly valuable in some respect if, with the lens of time, it becomes the will of the population, the masses. So I leave you with this. If the whole claim is going to be that they're going to sew my womb shut and now they hate women, how dare you? I think this is something that has not reached your echo chamber. And hopefully for those of you listening that have struggled with this dichotomy of your friends and family that are just tearing relationships and painting you out to be the villain, clip this and show it to them. Donald Trump has been pro-choice from the beginning. His stance has not wavered. Your rights will not be trampled upon, and they will only be preserved further. This is him before even coming to a presidency, the true man, looking at a guy from 1999 before even politic barrels were pointed at him.
Gays should be allowed to be married?
It's something I haven't given lots of thought to. I live in New York City. There's a tremendous movement on to have and allow gay marriage. It's just something that is too premature for me to comment on.
How about gays serving in the military?
It would not disturb me. Again, I'd want to talk to lots of experts within the military, but it's not something that would disturb me. I mean, hey, I lived in New York City and Manhattan all my life, okay? So, you know, my views are a little bit different than if I lived in Iowa, perhaps. But it's not something that would disturb me.
Partial birth abortion, the eliminating of abortion in the 3rd trimester, big issue in Washington. Would President Trump ban partial birth abortion?
Well, look, I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion. I hate it. I hate everything it stands for. I cringe when I listen to people debating the subject. But I just believe in choice. And again, it may be a little bit of a New York background because there is some different attitude in different parts of the country. And, you know, I was raised in New York and grew up and work and everything else in New York City. But I am strongly for choice, and yet I hate the concept of abortion.
But you would not ban it?
No.
Or ban partial birth abortion?
No, I am pro-choice in every respect and as far as it goes, but I just hate it.
So again, why is it so easy for them to paint a totally different picture of him? Because he's too real of a person. He does no service to himself. This is him in his deposition just 2 years ago. And again, it's relatable. He's a guy, but also this does not make you a politician.
When you said in that video that Ms. Leeds would not be your first choice, you were referring to her physical looks, correct?
Just the overall. I look at her, I see her, I hear what she says. Whatever. You wouldn't be a choice of mine either, to be honest with you. I would not, under any circumstances, have any interest in you. I'm honest when I say it.
I like that.
Keep
See,
it
the
100.
problem is honesty hurts.
Honesty, bro. Like, I like that. Speak the truth. Stand on what you're saying. What is wrong with it? Like,
Standing on business, that's for sure.
SOB.
God. Well, again, aside from it all, these are the real numbers. I mean, 0.01% resulted from incest. They love playing that one. Or the R word. The woman's life was endangered by pregnancy. I mean, we're not even at 1% yet. And 75% of it is for no reason, elective. You know, I going back to his point where he's like, I despise it, but I support choice. My mom worked at Planned Parenthood. I recognize there was a TED talk my sister sent me when I was in college many, many years ago. It was this lady giving a story about how when she was 16, her dad took her to some sketchy place and she had a totally sketchy, unsafe, under the table procedure. And in a world where that's going to happen inevitably, you need to allow it to be safe. The choice needs to be there. At the same time, I don't have to sit here and pretend. This is where freedom comes in. You have the freedom to make what I think is a bad decision, what you think is a great decision. Like Louis C.K. said, and it's a perfect philosophical point. For some people, it's killing a baby. Yeah, no reason you'd spend every day protesting if there's a baby killing factory across the street. On the flip side, other people just think it's taking a shit. You're just taking a shit. So if that's the balance of what we're dealing with, you got to respect why some people are looking at it as blasphemy. And while others are just like, listen, I cut my fingernails, I have an abortion. So I want it to be a world where you can have the freedom to do whatever you need to do, whatever you want to do, and you could do it safely. But then us en masse have the ability to demonize you if we see fit. If we think what's in your belly is a human and what you may be doing is murder, especially the later down that line you go, then I should be allowed to say that. I should be at the very least allowed to exclaim and create what happened to the liberals and the Democrats saying rare but effective? Make it effective, make it safe, but we can't sit here. We can't live in a country where it's just taking a shit. So I leave it with his position has been moderate and liberal, and we have to ignore it because it would just shatter our reality. Because really, this villain, this Hitler they've created is just in their imagination. Ricky, you're cracking. Ricky, do you have any thoughts on this? I'm just watching.
I don't know why he keeps saying it's like taking a shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Who views is just taking a shit? Like, who views it like that? Like,
don't be belittling such a very real point when
I'm serious.
DNC,
I don't feel like
an abortion bus and a vasectomy bus. We're
but
just
I feel like
abortions outside the DNC, baby.
I feel like if a woman goes through that abortion, it's like, especially if she's like fetus is already forming and shit. Like, there's an emotional connection that goes with the women. Like, they be going through stuff. Like, I don't feel like it's just taking a shit. You know what I mean? That's why I'm just cracking up. Like, I never heard no one say
listen, Ricky,
like,
I hope you're right. But
no,
the truth is,
hold on. There's also on the other side, there's women out here that's having a lot of sex, unprotected sex. We can do this rap and keep having the sex.
Like it's just sex protection.
They just using it like taking a shit. Like, that's crazy.
Ricky,
I just never heard
I'm
it like that. I
but
love it.
What very much legitimizes it is 3/4 of it is just elective.
That's facts. That's facts, and that's what I'm saying. It goes back to safe sex. Like,
And this is
I
from
feel
the
like
CDC.
it should go. Women should start having more accountability. Like, the more generation coming up should see what happened in front of them, and just like, I don't want to go down that background. I don't want to go down because I seen it growing up. Like, hearing of kids and people in high school having kids, I seen it, and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I seen people in high school that had abortions. So, and now they have their kids in their future life, and they're happy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I see from I've seen all aspect in my life, and it is sad when 72% is elective, because you can have safe sex and still enjoy yourself with safe sex without let him shoot up the club. You feel me? You don't gotta shoot up the club every time. And to the fellas too, you ain't gotta shoot up the club every time either.
Ricky, in the club, we all fam.
Nah, bro, we ain't fan, bro. No, we just enjoying the club for the club, and we gotta get out when it gets too hot. You know, when you're in the club and it gets too hot, you gotta get out to get some air. You gotta get out and get some air. Like, go to war with a bulletproof vest. Like, stop shooting up the clubs. Younger generation, stop shooting up the club.
Oh my God.
And it's unhealthy for the women to have everybody just shooting up the club, and you don't know who the shooter is.
Don't be silly, wrap up your willy, right?
We need an internet bill of rights if we're going to keep we are in timeout.
It's a real grassy knoll situation
All right,
over here.
here's what we got to land this plane because we do need to get to our wrapping game, Donald Duck versus Donald Trump, which is always a blast. So for wrapping thoughts, wrap your thoughts on everything we got here, recap the election, bring it to a close. But one of the questions that I do want each of us around table, even Silent from Canada, I want everybody to tell us truthfully, distill all the hyperbole, waking up Wednesday, Thursday, the next, are we in a better place than we were last month, last week, or are we worse off? For some, this is the end of the world. Did you see that dad that killed his wife and child and then himself? Okay. So, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Darwinism. However,
They
I
don't
have
look up in
to,
no better place.
Wait,
bro,
that-
that's
that-
wild.
That really happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy. Wow.
so is that person right in believing that this is the end of the world? Is it worse off or better off now seeing the result? First, let's go to the pickle gallery and then we'll bring it to us. Ricky, what are your wrapping thoughts?
I feel like it's just another day. Honestly,
Just another day, TV.
it's the federal government. It's not like immediate government that, like, you know, can put up a stop sign right down the street next week and hinder some bull. Like, it's just another day. We're gonna see what the new tax plan coming in next year, and that's what really I focus on. But like, it's just another day. It's just like, I'm just happy it's not civil war and no one is pressing the nuke. Like, it's just another day. I'm happy to be alive.
I appreciate that. Silent wrapping thoughts.
As I said last time, I'll say it again. Who the president is doesn't really affect the average person for most people. Like,
So
just work on being the best version of yourself every day, and you will get whatever it is that you want in this life, especially if you are already in America and born an American.
So let me ask you, as a Canadian, do you feel better off that Trump won or worse off that Trump won?
It honestly doesn't really, truthfully, me personally, it doesn't
Yeah.
affect me at all. Like, at all.
Cheers.
You know, whatsoever. It really doesn't. So I have no like negative or positive feelings towards the whole thing. I'm very like indifferent about it, honestly.
Okay. For my wrapping thoughts, I do think a lot of change is ahead of us. I think the right team around him is being equipped. We're seeing Vivek position himself in a great spot. People are complaining that Elon Musk has become the shadow president because he's been at Mar-a-Lago every day since the election, and yet he can't actually hold a position at all in any of the cabinets because that would implicate the companies that he owns.
Yeah.
And so he needs to keep that line of separation. And really, he's just a consultant, and that's got people all worried. Oh my God, he's a shadow president and everything. Distill it all. The right people are around him. And truthfully, I do think they're all fingers to the same hand. We know we're being played. If I was going to put my chips on the most right, Wendy West on Twitter, this late Wendy Webb, that's it. She's brilliant. And for her, she's like, we're not better off one way or the other. They're both, again, a marionette for the same play that we get distracted by so we don't see the truth. While I do think that's probably an accurate fact, in the marionette play, that again, that's all we have. Like, I'm not able to go fight the man behind the curtain in Oz. All I have is the giant head on the screen. And I do think we're in a better position. Gas prices immediately get better. I mean, everything just starts snowballing in one direction. And I'm eager to see where this goes. And I hope we don't find ourselves in a place like we were the last term where the media is able to get away. I mean, again, they're going to have the greatest numbers they've had again in the since the last election or since the last presidency, and they'll thrive in that. But we also need to make sure that we don't allow them to have such a control stronghold on our society, on the public dialogue. And we need to see through the facade, see through their bullshit, and to have conversations with people around you to really get an idea of the attitude, the climate. Because I think people are sick of trying to pretend a dude beating up in the Olympics in boxing is a female. That charade is over. I think a lot of these things where we've done mental gymnastics to play with your feelings and try to avoid being called a bad person. Now I've come to learn that no matter what I do, you're going to call me a bad person. So I'm just going to be me. I'm going to say what I think and see what I see is true. And I think as long as we can, he's a big player in this too. You know, Proud Boys need to stand by and stand down. That wasn't it, dude. That wasn't the thing to say there. And I get that's kind of what that comes with the territory of an improvised guy that just says off the cuff. Sometimes he's going to say things he doesn't necessarily mean, or it's going to come out in a way that he didn't intend for, like good people on both sides. All these things he probably could have done a better job of exclaiming. So hopefully he's surrounded by the right people to avoid just straight up walking into the bear trap that he did before. You know, as Ricky says, America is the leader, and you know, hopefully the trend follows. But David, what is your rapping thought?
So I'm probably anywhere from slightly feel better to indifferent about the whole situation.
Lame.
Yeah.
You voted for him.
I did vote for him.
So what's it?
So we've seen this before. He didn't cancel woke. He didn't start any new wars, which is good. Now but there was a lot of promises, a lot of grandiose things that were said that didn't get done. Drain the swamp. Nah, not really.
Wall.
You had the wall. Some wall got built, not a whole lot. You know, and then you probably start going downhill. COVID happens, and all of a sudden, okay, everything kind of gets a little muddled here in the last year of the presidency. I think his last term is more stated by probably the first 180 days and the COVID thing than anything else in the middle. I am excited to see where his presidency ends. And I say that because do we stop platforming politicians in such a way where it's now my everyday personality?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's such a strong personality that everyone around him, every other politician's got to do something like that to be in the same, to not just have all the air sucked out of the room from him. So once he can no longer be elected for anything. Do we get back to maybe not a normalcy in politics, but something a bit more reminiscent of kind of how we want to see politics? I don't think anyone sitting here really wants to see politics just being a mudslinging game or, you know, quips on TV. It's fun, it's exciting, but it's not. I don't think in the end of the day, it's not exactly going to help the average American person on their day-to-day lives. So I'm kind of holding my breath. We'll see what happens in that first 180 days. I'm not expecting him to end all wars the day it gets in office. He could. That'd be great. That'd be wonderful. I would love that so much.
Oh, I will serve you crow the day of inauguration.
If
I
he
will
does,
happily serve you that crow.
But in that same time, we've seen this before. You know, I remember the Trump times. It was fine. It wasn't any different. The COVID thing really fucked everything up more than any sort of administration could ever hope to do. So what does this look like in post-COVID world? Probably more of the same as it is right now. Some prices maybe a little bit lower. Some prices might be a little bit higher. The media is going to be a circus the whole time. I'm not looking forward to that. Hate that.
It's almost like you totally agree. They're all fingers the
same hand. It's like my roundabout way of saying this is a circle jerk right now on this table.
We're back at it. Dougie, rapping thoughts.
So definitely don't feel like the world's going to end. Day after the election, woke up and went to work like normal. A little hungover from Tuesday, but nothing new there. But I do have to say something. You said first time in a while or ever that a Republican won both. Actually, fun fact, it was the norm up until George W. Bush's 2000 election that whoever won the election also won electoral votes. Reagan, HW, and W in 2004 all won the popular vote and the Electoral College. It's just so every election from 1900 to 1996 they won both. It's only recently that it's become
wow.
And I think
so
total
hard.
It's only been actually 3 presidents to win just by Electoral College, not by both.
It's
that and
pretty.
That's the danger of just parroting shit you hear on the internet.
So that's kind of my random thought there. I had to throw that out there because I would I knew not many Republicans before, recently in our lifetime, at least, that had happened. But looking into it, I knew, of course, Ronald Reagan won popular votes. I mean, that dude was the most beloved Republican ever. I mean, other than maybe Teddy Roosevelt. So, I was not surprised when I looked that up after you said that. I'm like, that can't possibly be true. Like, at least Ronald Reagan would have had to won popular vote too.
No, I love that. I love that. See, we even fact check ourselves here at the Rethink Tank. All right, let's get excited for a fun game. Bringing back a classic. We're going to be playing Donald Duck or Donald Trump. So for those of you who don't know, it's a game that, started off here at the Rethink Tank. We've been playing for a while, and what better time to bring back an old classic than the celebratory episode. So the way this is going to work, first off, we've got another game coming up here in the future, and the winner is going to get, I can't give you the details, but the winner will get a competitive advantage in the next game. So you're competing for a competitive advantage in a future contest here in the Rethink Tank, because we love when we have the chance to end an episode with a fun game. So again, the game is Donald Duck or Donald Trump. I am going to exclaim a name, and with that, I am going to ask you to tell me, is it a Disney character or is it a representative or congressperson? So to tell me it's a Disney person, you'll guess Donald Duck. And if it's a congressperson, you'll guess Donald Trump.
Disney person, do you mean Disney character or do you mean Disney employee? Or
what do you mean, Dougie?
Well, you're saying, is it Disney stuff or is it a person? Is Bob Eisner going to be on this list?
It's either a Disney character or a current
Disney
representative.
character. Perfect.
They're either a character in a Disney movie, or I'm trying desperately to pull these all up while we're getting these going. So again, Doug, to answer your question, you got to guess Donald Duck if it's a Disney character, Donald Trump if it's a congressperson.
I got you.
So here's what I ask of you, please. These guys kind of cheated because they just literally wouldn't keep their eyes off the TV as I prepared this episode. But I'm going to start off with the first topic. Each person is going to get 4. I have a tiebreaker if necessary. Okay. So starting with David, can you please tell me Donald Duck or Donald Trump? The first name is Tom O'Leary. O'Leary. Tom O'Leary.
O'Leary. Jeez.
O'Leary.
I'm going to go Donald Duck.
You're guessing Donald Duck.
Donald Duck.
Oh, they're all the way down here. Well, that's a... Doug, don't be cheating. Don't be cheating over there.
Cheating?
By looking. Don't be cheating.
I have to look at something here.
This
Do you just want me to just not...
Who's this name Tom anymore? Not
Thomas? Tom
Doug.
O'Leary is a Democrat representative from Arizona. So, unfortunately, David does not get points. All right, Dougie, coming to you for number 2. Claude Frollo. Claude Frollo.
Oh, my God. Well... I'm going to just go with
I don't like how you're looking off screen,
because that name sounds like either we have a Frenchman working for America or that is a Disney character.
It is Donald Duck.
Yeah!
Doug's got a point. He's a character from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I don't like how you looked off screen right there, bro.
What's up, Ricky?
I don't like how Doug eyes twisted off screen right there. Dougie Fresh, stop playing, bro. Stop playing, Dougie Fresh.
The last one keeps popping up, and I don't want to get yelled at for if you end up giving me the last one as a question.
Yeah, so stop cheating, Doug.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at the camera.
There's only one way to do this. I should be turning off your screen.
Go for it.
Number 3, going to Ricky. Ricky, the name is... Oh, I got to put the name up first before displaying the picture. John Smith. Donald Duck or Donald Trump? John Smith.
It's a strong name. It's a strong name.
That's a basic ass name. That's a very common basic ass name. Like,
Yeah. It could go. Is it Donald Duck or Donald Trump?
Duck. Let's go Duck.
Donald Duck. You got it. Pocahontas.
You feel
John
me?
Smith.
Yeah. Chisel
You know,
chin, head ass.
I tried throwing you off the scent. You didn't fall for it. I gotta commend you. All right, Silent, we're coming to you. As a Canadian, you know, you've got the biggest uphill battle. But we'll see if you collected some of our politics through osmosis. So the fourth one here is Martha McScully. Martha McScully. McSally?
I was gonna say it looks like McSally.
Martha McSally.
Yeah, it's McSally.
I'm going to say a politician, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. All right, let's get the reveal here. She is a political baddie.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
All right. Number 4, Martha McSally. All right, we've got a 3-way tie because David's bad at these games. I love you, David, but you never seem to succeed.
I don't seem to win these.
All right, number 5, coming to you, David. Tom McClintock. It's like an Irish Clinton.
McClintock.
McClintock. Tom
Man.
McClintock.
I think this is a Donald Trump, if I've ever seen one.
Donald Trump. All right, let's see the reveal here.
Mr. McClintock.
Mr. McClintock.
I had heard that name, but I wasn't sure if it was Disney or from politics.
Yeah.
David
Sounds like
David's
a
got point on the board. He's back in.
There we go.
Let's see if the gang in the studio here could pull away. Doug, we're coming to you. Number 6, Amino Di Barrio.
Oh, God.
Amino Di Barrio. Donald Duck or Donald Trump?
Yo, Doug, that sounds like
someone who could
Doug.
be in politics, but again, it sounds more Disney. So I have to go with Donald Duck.
Donald Duck. Let's see the reveal. This is the Jeffrey Epstein of Pinocchio.
What? Oh.
This is when he turns all the little boys into donkeys on his secret fantasy island, and then they don't come back quite a boy anymore. Go check it out. It's a pretty creepy element to the cartoon Pinocchio. Like, Epstein was definitely a part of this. Go check out my man, Amino Di Barrio. Doug pulls ahead with 2 points. All right, going to Ricky now. The 7th one here is Joe Gardner. We're giving you all the white
I was
guy
gonna say
names.
he's
like why am I getting these common 18th century
Joe
freaking Disney?
Gardner.
You know what? And because it's so common, it's an old ass Disney character. Let's go with that. Old Disney character. It's like old school.
Fooled by the white name because it is an old Disney character.
Okay, he too smooth. I seen that
One of the
cartoon.
real ones. Donald Duck is from the movie Soul. Good call, Ricky. We got ourselves a bit of a competition here. So let's take it to silent. Silent number 8 here. Donald Duck or Donald Trump? Ted Yoho. We're looking at Ted Yoho.
Yo-ho.
Yo.
Yo-ho.
I'm going to go politician.
Yo.
Yeah. Ricky's talking to the people outside.
Because you know we always outside, yo. You know.
That's what I was saying. All right, Silent, what are you going with?
I'm going to go politician, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Well, guess what? Look at that pretty face. That's a winner. We've got
You
ourselves.
don't look like a yo-ho to me.
Yo-ho.
I thought he was gonna be something else. You know, I thought he was gonna be from the other, over the specific. You know, I didn't. Yo-ho sound like I didn't know he was gonna be a
Hey, yo,
American.
I was thinking a different port, but he's one of ours.
Yo-ho is the last name of my Vietnamese classmate from like 9th grade.
That's what I was kind of flirting with.
We got a Slumdog Millionaire situation right here.
Yeah.
All right, David, back on top. We've got a 3-way tie, and you're not in it. But maybe you can make something happen here. Number 9, Buddy Carter.
Oh,
Buddy.
Buddy. We're gonna make this a foursome. This is Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
No Diddy.
I gotta hand. I'm trying to pretend there's still integrity in this room, but I also know I've made it practically impossible to preserve.
No, if you watch the replay on my camera, you'll see I keep looking away.
Yeah, Ricky keeps catching you. You're being honest. You're right. E.L. Buddy Carter is a representative from Georgia. Oh, I keep forgetting to say the representative states. Oh, well.
Isn't he related to Jimmy Carter?
You never know, Doug. You could Google it for us.
I don't know. Just
Yeah,
Carter.
Well, after the game. After the game.
Yeah, you're right. I don't
After.
want to cheat.
Here
No
we
cheating. We're keeping integrity here.
So David's got 2. Doug, can you pull away with a point here right now? It's
Let's
just
see.
2 across the board. Going to Dougie with number 10. Mike Quigley. Mike Quigley.
Quigley with an Q. I will have to go with Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Well, I got good news for you. He is a Democrat representative from Illinois. So you come out ahead once again. All right, going to Ricky. Ricky, can you keep up with Doug? Because we've got the tie just keeps strengthening itself. Looking at number 11 here, Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock.
We just keep giving you these.
bro. I feel
Donald
like
Duck or Donald
you did this on purpose. This is a brother's name, right? and we already got the one brother, but he was a cartoon character. You know, I feel like this is a trick one. Let's stick with Disney.
So are you saying Donald Duck or Donald Trump?
Ducky Duck.
Well, Ricky,
you're a smart man.
Quack quack.
Smart man. Quack.
You picked Venom.
I was jumping for you, Ricky. I'm literally jumping. I'm like, come on, Ricky. I know this one.
Eddie Brock is a brother. Yeah, look, he got a symbiote. Look,
part time.
He's got his black insides. Look.
All right, Silent, can you keep up, or is Doug and Ricky gonna pull away? Looking at number 12, Nick Wilde. Nick Wilde, is it Donald Duck or Donald Trump?
I'm gonna say Donald Trump, politician.
Donald Trump. Oof. I got bad news for you. This is a fox. It's from Zootopia.
What does the fox say?
Yeah, well, now we got some hot spiciness between Doug and Ricky. But can David keep up? You have an opportunity to tie it up, and they could fumble. They could fumble the lead.
I do.
So coming to you with number 13, Bill Huizenga.
Bill
Huizenga. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
I'm gonna keep the hot hand. Donald Trump.
You're going with Donald Trump. Bill Huizenga. All right. Well, guess what? Lucky for you, you got yourself a Republican from Michigan.
Them hands say
you know what? That looks like a bill.
I can't tell if he's talking about a booty or about to eat a Subway.
Wazinga.
No, we all know now from the lawsuits, Subways aren't that big.
She looks like this. All right. I want to go now to Doug. Doug, there is a tie right now between you, David, and Ricky, but you have an opportunity to pull away and bury David.
Let's see it.
Looking at number 14, I'm looking at Garrett Graves. Garrett Graves.
Oh.
Donald Duck or Donald Trump?
See, at least the other ones I had kind of an idea. Garrett Graves. I will go with Donald Trump. We'll see.
I think he Googled it, but, it's neither here nor
No,
there.
you notice I was looking away because I saw you getting ready to scroll.
It's Garrett Graves. And Garrett is a representative from Louisiana, Republican.
Louisiana.
I won't lie. I got those first two
Doug's got
purely
a
off the name.
Doug's got a 4-point sweep. Can Ricky keep up with him? All right, Ricky, here's your chance. Jairo Hermada. Jairo Hamada. No white name for you this time.
Jairo Hamada.
Hamada.
So this sounds more specific region to me, right? Jairo Hamada. But also Hamada. Jairo Hamada. This sounds like a samurai. I'm going Disney.
Little did you know he's a samurai from Illinois. No, I'm just kidding.
Who's Jairo?
Jairo Hamada. It's actually from Big Hero 6. So you had your finger on the pulse here. So, Silent, I'm actually going to skip it and give it to you. I'm going to give you one for fun. Play along. Give us your best guess. I'm skipping to 17 because they keep seeing 17 here in the studio. So I want to keep it fair for
Perfect
Dougie.
idea.
So number 17 here is C.A. Ruppersberger. C.A. Ruppersberger. So, Silent, what's your thoughts for C.A. Ruppersberger?
I'm going to say Donald Duck, Disney.
You're correcto. That's an old chap right there. Do you notice all the young whippersnappers out here representing us? That's America, folks.
Bruh, that's a cartoonish name.
That was a fun round, but this comes down to a tiebreaker between Doug and Ricky. So what I need to say is we got to have a buzzer. This is a lightning round. So for number 16 here, I'm going to call it out. You cannot buzz in until I finish saying the name.
And how are we buzzing?
So don't be premature. And how are you buzzing? First one to yell, you're fired. After I finish saying the name is your buzzer. And David will gauge for me who says it first.
We'll be the referee.
For the tiebreaker here, Donald Duck, Donald Trump, between Ricky and Doug. Vanellope von Schweetz.
Disney.
You're fired. It's
That's
Doug.
Doug. Yeah, it's
I
Doug.
am going to go with Disney character. Sorry, Donald Duck is the game. Going with Donald Duck.
Nobody likes seeing Doug get a competitive advantage, but if anyone needs one, it's him. And Doug pulls away with Vanellope von Schweetz.
I had never heard that name before in my life, so I had to assume it was a Disney character.
Let's just be.
Doug cheated. Doug was looking to the left every time. Doug cheated. Chat. Run it back, chat. Clip it and send it to us, chat.
I'm looking at my board that's below.
Nah, bro. Tell that to somebody else, bro.
You think because Doug is such a good producer, he'd be able to memorize what buttons.
Now,
are on
when
the
I'm
board.
trying to think about a name I've never heard of before in my life, sorry, I have to.
You got to look
take
at your
my priorities
down.
Hey, Gergat can check
It's
the
all
tape.
right, Doug.
Check
It's
the
all
tape.
right, Doug.
Check the
That's
tape.
why we
I
have.
still
that's why we have
fucks
an
with you,
audience.
Doug.
They'll help keep it honest. But with all that being said, let's thank the Pickle Gallery for joining us. First, Ricky, we're going to kick it off to you. Tell the folks where they can find you.
We outside to the people of the world, man. We out here enjoying stuff. Hey, we got a lot coming up. We're here alive. Nothing is burning down. That's all that matters. Nothing is burning down. We're alive.
That's right. America moves on. Just another day TV. And Silent, also join us in the Pickle Gallery. Please tell them where they can find you.
Kick.com/Silent Destroyer. We are live every single day. We're alive. No one is dying. No one's rights getting taken away. We're all gonna be okay.
I'd love ending on something like that. That's the
Goose
positive note we need.
Fraba.
So, guys, like we had indicated, we go live every week, and the whole purpose of the live show is to get you guys involved. So thank you to everybody that dove into the comments to add a little bit of an element and a little perspective to the episode. But we also have other shows that you can look forward to throughout the week. We have our reaction channel that's going to be back. So join us this Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Have some laughs and have a cup of coffee. Take a break from all the craziness and just laugh with some internet videos. But then following that up also on Sundays is the Sunday football review. So as you tinker for your fantasy football league, you could go to the same, it's on the same YouTube channel or the same Rumble channel, wherever you're finding your content, same place, Rethink Actions. Be sure to join us. And, at noon, get ready for a fun day of football and have some football talk. But otherwise, guys, we go live across all the platforms in one central place, and that's at our website at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. So if you're looking where to find all the crazy great stuff, like yesterday, we had a brand new episode of So Here's Where I'm At out, and I think this one was a pretty powerful one. I put a lot of work into it, so be sure to check that out. You can find it all in one place, and that's at our website. So be sure to click on over there. But otherwise, guys, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.